This is a discussion we've had on the shows, up until now. It's going to be a lot more variety of flying geese. So is it really going to be economical to make 4 of the same if you're not going to be repeating the same temperatures if you want to do the highs and lows? Well, this is what I want to show you today, is that you can do less than 4 flying geese. So here's what I recommend. You have, I just went to weather.gov, weather.gov, and then you find your location. There are other websites in different countries. There's AccuWeather, and I just printed the weather because I'm doing 1964, so I was able to get that information. So I have the highs, and then I have the lows. And then I also have if there is precipitation, if you want to record that as well. But let me show you how I like to do this. So once I have my month printed out, and you can do 2 weeks or however long you want, I took one of our organizing daily trackers, and instead of just rewriting this over, I have this already noted here, and so no need to double that up. What I did instead, this is February, I would have my fabric guide here with my numbers. So, for example, January 1st, low is 20. So I would just put 20 because that is the fabric I'm going to use right here. And the high is 36, so that fabric would be, I actually did this wrong, so sorry. The minimum is 20, so I have to look at the temperature gauge, so that's right here. So that's number 7. Number 7, fabric number 7. And then, so my high is temperature of 36, so that is fabric number 11. So I will fill this out with a number, the fabric number. So easiest way is just to go do all the highs first. So I would just go 29, so that would be fabric number 9. Next is 34, so that's fabric 10, and so on. So I would fill all this out on both sides. And so then I would have, I just did this on a piece of paper here first before we recreated these. So I have all my fabrics for my highs and for my lows all the way through February. So now I just grabbed a piece of paper, and I know that my highs, that is going to be a 5.5-inch square because I'm making the 2x4 geese. So 5.5-inch square for the highs, and then a 7-inch square for my lows. So then I went ahead and just counted. So number 6 appears in my highs 1 time. And so, 1 time, and then 7 1 time, 8 4 times, 9 4 times, and so on. And I did the same for the lows. So once I had that, I have an idea of how many squares I'm going to need to start with. Because remember, 6 flying geese, we will need 1 square will create 4. So that I would need 1.5 square of that size from fabric number 4. So the next thing I did, I went through and took my fabric. So I'm going to show you this. And because your lows are going to be like the lowest temperatures, so I started with fabric number 1, even though it doesn't appear here. So fabric number 4 is the first one that appears here. So I just cut myself a 7-inch strip from that. And then I cut 7-inch squares. You can decide if you subcut all of it. I just cut what I needed. And so I cut my squares. And then instead of keeping them in squares, I actually cut them in half. So I have a triangle. So this will make 2 flying geese. So then I would cut my triangles, and I would pull all of the fabrics that I would need for all of these lows. So the bigger square. So I would have them all lined up. So I have for February, I have them all here, all of my large squares. So this is what I would need. And sometimes if you have extras, this is where the organization comes in handy. I have fabric number 4, and these are my large squares. So then I have that organized in order here for ready for the next month. And then I do the same with the lows. So the lows, again, I would count and then figure out how many triangles. Now sometimes there is only one, and that is okay, because so here are some of my triangles for what I just need one of. So these are like two, sorry, these are I need two of, so I have two. But if you only need one, easy thing to do is taking this triangle and cutting it in half this way, so into quarters. So we took our 5.5 inch square and cut it into quarters. So I'm going to show you how I like to do that. We have that cut edge diagonally right here. I will just line any line on my ruler here and a slit on the tip here, and then I would just cut this apart this way. And if I only need one flying geese from that color, I would just set the one right here and then put the other one back. I have a whole nother set of the colors that we cut the smaller square. So that's all organized here as well. So here are the ones that I only need one of for my February that I haven't done. So once I have them all pulled and ready to go, I also go back to my sheet and I start with the lowest temperature on the background, so the large one. Now this one is not my lowest, but I would take this guy. So this one actually needs, I'm going to need two that have these combinations. So I need two flying geese. So I would just sew these together like this. And how you do that is just centering them. You can either make a fold and find the centers, or you can easily line this up, because we don't have to be 100% accurate. So I like to just line up these points, and then you're perfectly lined up. You would sew this together. And if we look at our book where our flying geese technique is shown, instead of doing two full squares, we just skipped a step and we just sewed the two together here. So you have one, and then when we are ready to, this will be sewn together like this. So let me just show you. Here are some of my other big ones. And here actually, this one is a large one like that. So these could be sewn like that because they need the whole, we need two of each. But then for these guys, I just need one, and I have the one flying geese. Now the tricky part with the background, because of the technique, we need to make at least two from the same background. But I know that I need to make one from this color and one from this color with the same background. So when that happens, I would do the same thing here. Take this guy and make that cut like I did before with the smaller one. Line things up, cut it apart, like so. And then here I would just sew this guy to this side here, sew, and then press outwards. So you end up with two units. You want to make sure you sew them on the same side, like this. So then when we move on to our next step of the flying geese, we have this unit to sew together, like that. And then this guy, we can follow the exact same, because we have two of the same background. We can follow the exact same steps here, except we'd be layering these two together even though they're not identical. So you can do the same thing, cut apart, and you end up with this same unit. So I'm going to show you I go through the steps here with some that I have sewn. So for example here, I have two that have the same background, so I would sew these together, again, just aligning the raw edges to sew like this, so we end up with a unit that would look like that. And then this one is ready to be trimmed, but you see we have two different flying geese, just the same background. So easy to do. Again, you will need to be doing something with a background color or fabric A. You need to always make two, but if you're doing the fabric B, you can make one at a time. All right. So now, once I have my units all made and trimmed, what I will be doing, so you have all your flying geese now, I go back to my original sheet to see my temperatures. And actually, it's easier just to look at your sheet where you log the fabric colors, because you can just pull your fabric guide alongside to remind you which fabric combination is going where, just by the numbers. And so then we're going to sew these into rows. So I have my month of January already done. So we start here at the top. I'm having all of my flying geese face flying upwards, unless there was precipitation on that day. So you'll see here is my January 5th. There was precipitation, so I flipped my geese so it's going downwards. So this is my whole January. And actually not too many that have precipitation, but you'll see there's a couple that end up being the same combinations. And I decided to press all these seams open to lessen my bulk between the flying geese. And when you flip them on top of each other to sew, I like to sew from this side so I can easily see where the point on my flying geese is and I won't lose that point. So my whole January is ready, and I can play with February already, as I am halfway started. But this is, of course, just this year. My intention, this is, of course, 1964. My intention is to make two quilts, one for this coming year. So, which is going to be fun to see the difference in temperatures. Now, we will see if that actually happens, but that is the goal. So that is my process of how I am going to stay organized as I make my temperature quilt. If you want to do the same, please follow and find all of the printouts. Now, if you only want to record the high and you want to have a singular background, you can, of course. It won't be as colorful, so then you're just recording the high temperature for the center part of the fabric B of the geese. And then this is easy. You can easily make one at a time using the techniques because your background is always going to be the same. Well, I know you have a lot of questions. Unfortunately, we had a little technology glitch. Our stream went down kind of in the middle of this video. Something we cannot control. So I think I'm going to go through the steps for you. First of all, those of you who missed the first part, this is a little bit of an explanation on how I am going to organize my pieces for the temperature quilt, the Flying Geese temperature quilt. We are going to be making the temperature quilt using the GEC Flying Geese method. And those of you that have not seen that method, it's the one that is described in the book. We have the technique and then the trimming of all the geese. There are multiple videos on how to make those types of flying geese, so please get familiar with that first. So I'm going to be making 3 temperature quilts. My first one I already started because that is going to be for the year 1964. Mr. HP is turning 60 this coming year, so I thought it would be fun to do the temperatures, the year he was born, and then the year he turned 60.
Whoa.
Whoa. So it's kind of a little bit of a global warming experiment so we can see the differences. My third quilt is going to be with Florida temperatures. This is going to be Minnesota temperatures, okay? So that is why I'm already starting. I saw a lot of you were confused by that. You can choose whatever year you want to do. Most of us are going to be doing 2024, right? But I'm going to be doing 2. And it was a good opportunity to play with things so I could explain my method to you. Now, I want to be recording both the lows and the highs. So as I showed you with my flying geese here, the row that I already did, that is my January, okay? So my flying geese have the high is the actual goose, and then the low is the background. Or fabric A is the low, fabric B is the high, okay? Now, many of you are just going to record the high, and you're going to use the same background for all your flying geese. And if you're going to do that, it's a piece of cake to do, because you don't have to be worried about which background goes with what high and low. So I always like a little bit of a challenge, but I just wanted to share my organization piece. Now, I know there's a lot of questions, but I think I need to go through all the steps first. So can we switch to the overhead? So first off would be creating your temperature planner. So that means you choose the temperature increments that you want to do. I did 5 degrees, ranging from -14 to 105 for Minneapolis area. I might need to go colder, so I will just add to it if I need to as we go. But I think this is a good start. And so I have 24 different fabrics. I have my swatches here. I did put notes on where the fabrics are from, although most of them are from the same 2 bundles, the storyboard bundles. I did add in some basics here and there, so I have that noted down if I do need to find more. So that would be step 1. And then make sure you print out all of our daily tracker sheets. They're very easy. Then I numbered my fabrics. So they are numbered from 1 to 12, 13 to 24. So that's easier if you are going to be doing the highs and lows like me. Then I made myself a set of clips ranging from 1 to 24, and I made myself 2 sets. Using our organizing stickers, I would just write the higher numbers on them. And so here I have all of my fabrics that I have started with. These I haven't gotten to. These are my warmer temperatures. And so 1 set of numbers is for the strips that I cut at 7 inches wide. I'm making 2 by 4 inch finished flying geese. So you can see here that your large square, this is in all your charts in the book. My large squares are going to be 7 inches. My small squares are going to be 5.5. So I cut a 7-inch strip and a 5.5 inch strip. So that's why I have 2 sets of clips, numbered clips. All right. So instead of cutting, well, I did cut squares, but then I decided to cut them in half so that I can have a good idea. 1/2 of a square makes 2 flying geese. All right. And then I explained to you how you can make 2 at a time. So if these are 2 different geese. So this is a smaller square, cut in half and then cut into 4ths. So if you only need 1, you want to find another one that you have the same background so you can sew these together and then join these 2. So I'm really just following the same method that you need to familiarize yourself with in the book, but just breaking it down with the different colors. So the start of that would be, I have my big triangles cut in half. So this is just 1/4 of a square of both my large and my small. And I would sew these together first like this, making sure I put them on the same side, sewing the same side. So then I end up with these pieces, which are these, and then I sew them together, and I'm able to do the trim, and then I trim my flying geese units out once these are sewn together. So pressed opposite, and so on. So let's take some questions, Mr. HP. I think a lot of folks are confused. It didn't help that our stream went down halfway through the tip.
Here's one.
Okay. Then do you do a solid between each month? No, so the quilt that I'm going to make, I'm going to do rows. So 1 month is 1 row. Because my geese are 2 by 6, my rows will be just about 64 inches, 2 to 4 inches, 60 inches long. Perfect for a lap size quilt. So I'm just going to do each month is 1 row. When we get to the end, I'm going to show you some options on how you can add sashings and finish out your quilt. Do we need the Stripology ruler? If you're going to use this technique for the flying geese, you actually do. So you could use, I'm going to be trimming mine with the mini, the Stripology mini, or you can use the squared or the XL. So either of those 3. How are you getting the temperatures for the year? So go to, there's multiple websites where you can look this up for your area. Where I went is just weather.gov, weather.gov, and you just go to your area, and then you can look up any year or any month, any year, and they will print out, you can print that out, just the little sheet that I showed you. I'll find it to show you guys. So this sheet will look like this, and it has all your temperatures for that month. And since I was doing previous year, that was no problem for me to get started. Would it help to use a sticker on the middle goose? That I am not really sure what you're talking about, middle goose. There's not going to be a middle goose. There's going to be, so you'll only always have 2 for each, the background and then the 2 different ones. So I'm not sure what you mean by middle goose. Gudrun, have you made many of these? I have not made a temperature quilt yet. So I am being ambitious. And like I showed you, I have my highs and lows. And then I'm also, whenever there is precipitation, I turn my goose down. So this is January 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know on January 5th there was some snow because these temperatures were fairly low. Okay, what are you going to do the months that don't have 31 days? We'll still do the rows. There'll be shorter rows. So like I said, when we have all of our months in rows, I'll give you some options for the sashings and sizes to make all your rows be even. There's ways to do that. You can even them out, or you can have them all start at the top. All kinds of fun things. What will you do if the high and low are the same color? I wouldn't even make a goose. I would just make a rectangle. I would probably skip that. Yeah, skip that step of sewing the same fabric together. But that will be interesting because that's going to really stand out in your quilt. Probably going to be a unique day where the high and low are the same. What fabric options are you offering? You can do whatever fabrics. We're not offering any kits. I decided to use the storyboard bundles. There's a blue bundle and a red bundle, so it has total 24 different fabrics. Now there was 2 that were gray, so I removed those and just added in some basics that kind of fell in line with my colorways. And then I removed some of the lightest ones and replaced some things in there. So you can really do whatever you want. You can use, it's perfect to use your stash. I would just recommend to start with a half yard if you're making this size of flying geese. But whatever works for you. The dimensions of the quilt. So if you are doing the 2x4 geese like me, that's going to make a nice lap size quilt. So that's going to be anywhere from like 50 to 60 inches wide to 75 or something like that when we add the sashings and things. But again, it's your quilt. You can have options in the end. If you make bigger geese, you can make a king size. So we're saying 3x6 will make you a queen to king size bed quilt. If you want to make smaller, if you want to go in for 1 by 2 inch flying geese, you can make a little small mini quilt. Half yards will be enough. Well, hopefully. I don't know. We don't know what the temperatures are going to be. So it depends on where you live. For Minneapolis, there is a long, big range. However, in the spring and the fall, there's 2 times a year where they can be similar. So I don't know if I'm going to run out of some. If I run out of some, you know what? I'm going to improvise. No big deal. Can you please show your temperature sheets? So this is available on our website. You can print it for free. So this is mine filled out. This is 2 pages will be your temperature planner. You can have a 3rd page if you want more fabrics, but I decided to narrow it down to 24. Like I said, I may need to add if it gets colder or warmer. I may need to add, but that's going to be fun if I do run into that. You can do a lot fewer as well. If you want a bigger gauge, and so your quilt won't have as much variety, you can have fewer fabrics, of course, and so you have just a bigger temperature range. Now, if you live in an area where the temperatures don't fluctuate that much, maybe you are going every 3 degrees so that you can get some variety. So I know Hawaii wouldn't be much. Maybe you go 2 degrees there. So it all depends. But yeah, I would kind of look at previous years and see, you know, check what your weather patterns are where you are and go from there. I will have finished temperature quilt with 2022 on one side and 2023 on the other side. Not sure how I will quilt it and what I will do with it. So that was my idea too, which is why I'm making 2 identical ones from the same fabrics, one for 1964 and then one for 2024. Now, I might put it on the back, or we might just make 2 quilts because it would be really fun to compare. I'm a beginner. What is the recommended ruler? Again, I would recommend either probably the Stripology squared is going to be your most versatile ruler to do this. And if you're a total beginner, if you want to play with us, I would probably recommend starting with just recording the highs and get yourself about 1 background fabric. Now, Kara and Nancy will be sewing along all year with you guys on their show, Perfect Pair, which is 3rd Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. You can always watch the show after. Both of them are just doing their highs. So they are choosing 1 background fabric, and they're going to do the same size flying geese as me, so finishing at 2 by 4 inches. And so about 3.5 yards, I would say, you would need of background fabric if you want to do 1 single background fabric. So this is not really a pattern. It's a technique. So we're just going to be making flying geese. Once we have all our months in rows, there's going to be some options of how much, if you want to do sashing, if you want to add borders and all kinds of things. The planner is free, so these sheets and then the daily tracker sheets for each month, those are free, so you can download those and print them. All right. Denise really wants to see the difference between 1964 and 2024. I know everybody, so you guys are going to have to cheer me on so I can keep up with this. You're really going to have to cheer me on. So I think I'm really intrigued. It's a science experience. I should get a science scholarship, right, to do this. Yeah, I know a lot of folks that have done first birth years of grandkids or kids or whatever. Lots, maybe graduation years, wedding years. It's kind of a really fun to have some meaning behind it. For the mini size, would solider prints be better? Yes, I would do less print. Now mine don't really have a lot of print, so I would go just basics would be a great idea, or solids. Now these don't have a lot of print. They're usually tone on tones. Some fun stuff there, which I really like. So this is going to be really fun to play with. But like I said, I took out there was gray and there was black and there was a little light fabric that was almost white. I took that out, so I'm just working with colors. So then I have some options for when I do my borders or sashings or other things to use neutrals. Do you think this can be done with scraps? Yes. I mean, if you're going to really plan it out with the temperatures, you got to make sure you have enough of each fabric, but definitely using your stash, you could definitely do that. Like I said, for this size, I would recommend starting with a ½ yard, at least, of each fabric. Now, some of them you're probably going to use a lot less, the ones that are, you know, towards the top and the bottom of your range. I'm going to use those probably the least. It's the ones in the middle that I'm going to use the most, I'm sure. All right, this is a perfect way to use Color Club. Somebody just said that. So as a matter of fact, some of the ones I filled in are Color Club fabrics. Oh, Chris said her husband is a weather nut, and so her brain is spinning with ideas for this quilt for him. Yeah, he turned 70 this year, so his may be historical data. I love that. I just think that's really interesting. Okay, any other questions? No? Okay, Jackie put a 1-inch strip between every flying geese. Yeah, I didn't want to do that. So if you're thinking about maybe altering this to whatever size geese, I saw somebody wanted to make a 1.5 by 1.5 by 3-inch finished. And you could definitely do that. You know, the book has all of these different sizes. So just to kind of have an idea to determine how big your quilt would be if you're going to do rows like this for each month, take the height of the geese, so that would be 1.5 inches, and then multiply that by 31, which is the longest month or so. And that's kind of where how big your quilt will be. So if we say 31, so your quilt is going to be somewhere around 45 to 50 inches long. So, and so if you're going to do a mini with a 1x2, your rows will be about 31 inches. And then you add maybe a little bit of borders. So kind of a fun little mini quilt. All right, so I wouldn't stress too hard on where you got lost in the first video. We will actually post that video on our blog for this show so that you can really go back to just that part and watch it, especially since our stream broke up. So we will definitely post that. But do you have any other questions that are popping up for this? Or are we ready to move on?
I think we can move on.
Okay, great. Awesome. I am very excited. And if this is too overwhelming, I would say start maybe with just recording the highs, get yourself some background, and just have some fun. Just don't take this too seriously. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be practicing your flying geese. So yeah, just have some fun with it. But let's talk about retreat. So our Stripology virtual retreat, we released this next year's retreat just a week ago, and I am thrilled and excited about retreat. It's such a fun time, and I'm thrilled to see how many of you signed up right away. Now we have 2 sessions. We have March 15th through March 17th. That's a Friday through Sunday. And then we have session 2 is a Wednesday through Friday, March 20th through the 22nd. We'll be making 2 quilts, Billy and Winnie. It's actually opposite. So Billy is actually the one hanging behind me. But we have, when you purchase or sign up for retreat, you get a choice of 12 different fabric options. And so we can look at those a little later, but let's take a look at the quilts if you've missed our announcements. We have Billy, which is, this version is made from the Feed Sacks bundle. And then this one is made from Clover and Dot. Fabric line that's not quite in yet. It's by Allison Harris from Gluck Gluck Sew. And really fun, more traditional colors. And then we have the Winnie quilt. So you'll be making 2 quilts from the same bundle. For the Winnie, we just add a background. And so this is from the Feed Sacks Good Works fabric. Really love this one. And then out of the Clover and Dot, here's our version of that one. So Then I made, one of the retreat options is Kindred, which is an art gallery fabrics. I kind of mixed a few lines together. Most of them are from Kindred, but it's mostly just off-white or lights and then different types of reds, red hues, reds and pinks, and I really love this. I added a border to Billy, which is easy to do. For the lap size, you can make it work with just a yard of fabric for the border. If you just piece the strips straight, I don't think a yard will do. And I think I cut it at 5 or 5.5 inches. So I really love how it offsets the, kind of frames the quilt. And then another option, of course, is always adding a background. And so every single block will have a background. This is actually all Color Club fabric. So I used different lights, always paired that up with a dark. And this is Billy in a totally different way. And as you can see, multiple different layout options for this quilt. And it's going to be so much fun playing with these once we have retreat. So any questions? I know we had some questions in the crew earlier asking about schedules and time. So this is a 3-day retreat. It takes place over Zoom. And even though we open the Zoom at 8 a.m. in the morning Central Time, so everything is based on Central Time, and we close at 10 o'clock. There is not full programming, and I'm not teaching the whole time. Teaching starts around 9:30 in the morning, and we're usually done teaching around 4 p.m. But then we start our fun evening activities, and of course, people keep sewing. So we have happy hour and some evening activities, always bingo, some little lecture, Q&A sessions, and all kinds of fun stuff. Let's take a look at the kits really quickly that we offer this year. So there's, like I said, 12 of them. We have Clover and Dot. So this is the one that has, we made the quilts out of that you saw earlier. We have Dandy Duo, which is Robin Pickens from Moda. Dawn on the Prairie, which is by Moda, and that is Fancy That Design House. Sorry, I just grabbed some water. Then we have the Feed Sacks. That is the other bundle that I made the other 2 quilts. We have Kindred. As you can see, an evenly split light and dark. Then we have Little Swan, which is a Riley Blake bundle, kind of nicely evenly split lights and darks with the blues and then the warm colors. We have Love Struck, a Moda line by Lella Boutique. Really beautiful warm greens and browns with some pink and aqua. I love those light, fun fabrics. Then we have Modern Abstractions, which is by Blank. A really cool colorway with just some grays, a little bit of tan and mustard, and dusty blues. We have our Brights Ocean Glow from Lewis and Irene, ocean themed fabric. Quaint Cottage by Moda, a line by Gingerbread, which is evenly split with teals and blues, and then those beautiful mauves and browns. And then we have Rustic Gatherings by Lisa Bonjean from Moda. Really classy, small prints, evenly split with the rusty reds and the whites and the blacks and the grays. So this one will have a tan background, the Winnie quilt. And then last but not least, we have Verdigris by Libs Elliott for Andover. So this one is not in-house, but very excited about this one. Modern take on it, love the colors, and very cool prints. So some of you that wanted to sign up right away, we had a few bundles, a few of our kits sell out really fast. Ocean Glow is back. That one sold out fast. So if any of you were waiting for more Ocean Glow to sign up, that is back. If any of you want to switch, just email us to help@gequiltdesigns.com and we can switch for you. Also, Kindred, we also were able to get more Kindred. So if you want to check on Kindred, that is back. And then the third one that sold out fast, I was able to secure more and added more, and it sold out again, was Modern Abstractions. I am looking into getting even more, so just hang tight. We might be able to get more of that.
You switch out background.
You can do whatever you want. The kits are going to stay how they are. The background is just 3.5 yards, so you can always use that for another quilt. But you can do whatever you want. A lot of folks change up the fabrics that they get in the kit. So that's always fun to see. The creativity, be a rebel. So we have, there was a question about making bigger quilts. So you'll be making lap sizes of both quilts. Billy is a typical lap size. Winnie is kind of a larger lap size. But if you want to make bigger, you can always double your kits, and you'll be able to make a twin size Billy and a queen size Winnie. So any other questions on retreat? Cheryl is watching us from Eden Prairie. She didn't know that we had a shop so close to her. Yes, we are just over in Chaska. Come and visit us. Okay. Great comments. We have some retreaters that are coming to their fourth in a row. I've been to each one, and I can't wait to see everybody, and hopefully some new participants joining us. Now, if you are international, just make sure to purchase the international version, which is just, the difference is you have to put the retreat box separately in your cart and then the digital package as well, because we're only going to ship to you the physical part, and that way you only pay taxes on that, duty and taxes and shipping. All right. That's great. Let's move on from retreat and announce a brand new fabric kit. Some of you know that I love to put together some of my classic patterns, some classic kits. We have had our Lupin quilt and Aurora quilt available as kits. They keep selling out. We keep making more. Those two quilts are both available. The patterns are in my Quilts of Iceland book. But here's another one, also from the Quilts of Iceland book. The newest one we have is called Thor's Hammer. And this quilt is another favorite out of the book. Now, these classic kits are maybe fabrics that, or quilts that might be intimidating, but rest assured, they're not hard. So the kit is for the lap size, but of course you could, if you wanted to, purchase 2 kits, and that will make a queen size. You might need to add a couple of fat 8s of those colorful fabrics, which is easy, but I really love this one. There's a grunge background, as you can see, and fabrics in the colorful fabrics are from a brand new line I'm going to show you here in a little bit, called Summer Lovin'. And very fun. So let's take a look at some of our beautiful fabrics. I'm going to put my water out of the way. Your
throat is all jacked up.
Yeah, I've been filming a lot and laughing and talking, so my voice is pretty rare, but it is affected after this holiday. But Summer Lovin', we put together a 12-piece bundle. It's super colorful. They are great fabrics. They will kind of read a little bit like basics. So let's take a look. I put together a 12-piece bundle, like I said. 9 of those fabrics will be in that kit that I just showed you. So starting off with this really fun pink flowers, like little daisies. And then most of the patterns are tone on tone with very fun line work. So a little lavender pink here is the second one. Little suns. We have a geometric in a little bit darker lavender or light purple. We have the daisies again, pink daisies on a gold background. Kind of hard to see. And then we have what is called Orange Crush.
Who's this by?
This is a Wyndham fabric line made or designed by Shayla Wolf, which is a good friend of mine. Love her stuff. Really nice saturated colors. And look at those little orange slices. I love that. We have this teal with the little suns and little waves. Little summer fun. We have a light blue with some more waves. But these linear type of fabrics will lend themselves really well to a lot of different things. Now think about if you wanted a bright temperature quilt, this would be a great bundle to start with, and you can build around it. So a little bit darker turquoise. And then we have the daisies again in the green, bright, nice bright green. We have the citrus slices in the lime. That is such a great color. And then finishing it off with a red, the little waves in the red. And then gotta have lemon slices as well. So a bright yellow for the last piece. Summer Lovin'. Somebody's asking about the Thor's Hammer quilt. Does that include the background? Yes, it includes all the fabrics for the top and the binding. So let me show you some of the fun colors I pulled, the basics to go with this. We're starting here on this end. So this is Bumbleberry's Celtic Lilac. Perfect here for the lilac colors. A little more purple. This is Dreams in the purple. And then for the hot pink, we have another Dreams. This is also from Lewis and Irene. This is the Dreams in the bright pink. For the orange, I have floral elements in the orangine. Nice bright orange. For the teal here, or aquamarine, we have Chalk and Charcoal Ultramarine. Great fit. The blues, Bumbleberries and the Chalky Blue. Great medium, works with both of these. And then a little bit lighter, the Jot Dot and the light blue. Very fun color. I forgot this one, Color Wash and the Textured Viola. I love this one because it's a great mix here in with the lavenders as well. For the greens, Dreams, another Dreams in the bright green. Nice. And then the canvas and the chartreuse for the little bit brighter, a little bit into the lime. We have a nice red here, the grunge in the flamingo. It has a little bit of a pink undertone, just like this fabric does. And then finishing it off with a spotted buttercup for a bright yellow finish here. I'm matching that yellow. Isn't that delicious? So this would make a great combination for a temperature quilt. We have, I brought in some neutrals just for fun. I love the Spectracetic Black as an accent. That's always going to be so sharp with bright colors. If you wanted a little bit more modern, fun texture, I pulled this newspaper print in the black. That will make a great background. And then a couple of whites, Chalk and Charcoal in the white, just a pretty tone on tone, white on white. And then the Sleuth in the Spatter Hush has a little bit of a gray speck. So very fun to add a little texture to the line. So this is Summer Lovin'. That looks like a Jolly Rancher. I agree, Erica. This is the Jolly Rancher bundle, I guess. But it's so fresh, and even though we're not deep into winter yet, does remind us the summer will be here at some point. And just so you can have summer in your sewing room whenever. So I have another line, a smaller line to show you, totally different. And this is for the kids. It's called Winsome Critters, and by Wilmington Prince. And I just fell in love with these little critters. So we have all these beautiful, pretty animals, so cute. We have owls and foxes and bears and some deer. on this beautiful light blue background. We have some arrows on the light blue, a little bit darker blue with the foxes. And this is only an 8-piece bundle. I like when we have a kids themed lines just to build a smaller bundle because usually we make smaller quilts. A nice diagonal stripe kind of containing all those colors. I love the touch of orange and the tan, bringing all those colors of the animals together. And then we have collage prints with all the animals together. It's so cute. We have the owls on a white background. Another white print with just little leaves on the background. And then we finish it off with a little bit of soft green typography. Be kind like a deer, brave like a bear, be wise like an owl, as swift as a fox. I think that's really, really cute. So, adorable critters. And for the fabric pole, in the lighter blue, I pulled a Bumbleberries light blue. Love my Bumbleberries. For the darker, a grunge in the grotto. Beautiful, soft blue color. For the greens, the soft green here is Deco Stitch and the Subtle Sage, a perfect match. I pulled a little bit darker one because it is a darker green throughout too. And this is Spectrostatic in the Sweet Pea. I really love this color. Then we have a little bit of that orange. So even though it's not one print that's this color, I pulled a brown. This is from Color Club. Color Blends in the warm brown is a perfect color of the bear. A little bit lighter and a little bit more red is the Desert Oasis in the Flow Redwood. And then for the color of the fox, the grunge in the Papaya is a perfect color for the fox. And then for the deer, grunge in the tan. Perfect deer color. Now I would probably go with something light. So there's a couple of light fabrics in here. So grunge white paper would be a great addition, matches this great perfectly, or dimples in the snow. So this is Winsome Critters. This will be great to make the Fast and Furious project, Snuggles to Go, the little baby throw quilts, because you need 8 different fabrics and you can make 4 out of a bundle. Love that. So we are wanting to remind you too, we have all of our holiday fabrics. So great bundles, both Halloween and Christmas, winter, and some 1 yards as well, just added to the sales section on our website. So snatch up some good deals if you want to stock up for the sewing year to come. Check that out. Some things are low and will go fast, but some great deals to be had. And then I wanted to remind you that Colleen will be here tomorrow morning with a 1 Yard Wednesday show, deal of the week at 9:30 a.m. Central Time. So all that's left for us tonight is our giveaway question. And I thought I would finish with this since December is coming to an end. And last week we presented our 4th free Advent project. It's a free pattern and tutorial. And if you've been following along, which one was your favorite Advent pattern or project? I think I know, because I've been seeing so many pop up, but I'm not going to say it. I want you to tell me. What was your favorite project? Maybe you haven't gotten to them all, but that's okay. They're always going to be there. So our show, we will be live here this coming Friday with one of my favorite things. Always at the end of the year, we like to go do our year in review to kind of review all the things we did together this year. And so that'll be December 29th, 12 p.m., right here from Studio B. Hopefully my voice is going to be recovered. And then our next Tipsy Tuesday, a week from today, our first of the new year, January 2nd.
A year gone.
A year gone.
Jeez.
And am excited to see this Friday as we go through the shows. I don't think we missed a show. We'll see. And then the January 2nd, yeah, that's 4 p.m. Central Time, and we'll kick off the year with some really exciting, fun things. So thank you all for watching and hanging with us through our technical difficulties. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you Friday. Bye, everybody.